Former news anchor and SABC COO, Mr. Chris Maroleng, who was in Zimbabwe few weeks ago and was deported together with his team, who is now the CEO of Center for Good Governance Africa, a think tank that was supposed to do a research in Zimbabwe, has spoken out on how he was deported in Zimbabwe. However, there is also a response from the president of Zimbabwe when he was being interviewed on ZTN on an eve of the election. Let us listen to Chris and then the response by the president of Zimbabwe, Mr. Mnangagwa. And you tell me what you think about this response on people being barred to cover the elections of 2023.
Joined by Chris Maroleng. You are Chief Executive Officer at Good Governance Africa. That's an independent research think tank, and you and your team were deported from Zimbabwe on the eve of the election. You're joining us from on Skype from Johannesburg. Chris, it's good to have you on the program. Tell us briefly what happened to you.
Thank you for having me on your program, Cyril. Well, basically, last Tuesday, my colleagues, that is three of my other colleagues and myself, entered Zimbabwe via Joshua Nkomo International Airport, which is the airport in the second largest city of Zimbabwe, Bulawayo. And this was after we had consulted with the South African embassy here in South Africa, where I'm talking to in Pretoria, our capital city. On arrival at the airport, after a brief interrogation by immigration and customs officials, we were permitted to go into Bulawayo, where we were ultimately engaged in a research mission. We were there, Cyril, for approximately 48 hours, and then it was on the second day of our presence there in Bulawayo that we were then also confronted by immigration officials together with plainclothes security agents of the Zimbabwean government, who then quizzed us again about what our intentions were. After assuring them that we were simply there to do research, they conferred with their superiors and came back to us simply saying that their superiors had given an order for them to basically evict us without cause from Bulawayo and ultimately from Zimbabwe. So we were removed illegally, basically deported illegally.
What is the situation concerning some observers being barred? Has there been a legal fair play regarding observers?
I'm not aware of those who have been barred. They can only be barred because they are not suitable to come in. Okay. But otherwise, it's open. We've invited everybody to come in. But of course, if you have a criminal record, and you wanted to come and observe us when you're a criminal, we'll buy you. Or some other reason that we know that you are already biased. Before you come here, you declare that, you see, there can never be free elections in Zimbabwe. Why should we ask you to come here if you already have taken a position? But I'm not so sure of any specific group that is.
We have seen SADC here, we saw the Commonwealth, African Union, all obviously paying courtesy calls on you. How is that going?
It went very well.